What if Sodom and Gomorrah is in Utah on the northeast side of the Great Salt Lake? You guys have asked me about this topic so much, so I'm excited to finally get this video out. So let's get into it. Okay, before we do, a quick reminder, this video needs context. So if you have not watched any of my previous videos, go do that or check out the map that is in my bio so that you have reference points for the other biblical locations we have already found, because they all interplay and correlate to each other. Okay, so first we have to find what the Bible says about Sodom and Gomorrah. So in Genesis, I think this is chapter 11. Sorry, cut the chapter off. It tells a story about all these kings that got together to battle this other king. And they all gathered together in the Sodom Valley, including the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah. And it says the Sodom Valley, that is the Dead Sea. So the Sodom Valley is where the Dead Sea is, correct? Like the Dead Sea is in the Sodom Valley. But real quick, I want to point out Dead Sea is a modern translation of that. The correct translation is Sea of Salt or Salt Sea. Dead Sea is, they've just imposed that upon the translation because we perceive nowadays the Dead Sea to be the Salt Sea, but it doesn't actually say that. Okay, so all the kings, the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, they all got together and they took up their positions in the Sodom Valley. And it goes on to tell us the Sodom Valley was filled with tar pits, so that's a big clue too. The king of Sodom and Gomorrah retreated and they fell into the tar pits, and everyone else fled to the mountains. So I'm going to show you where the tar pits are and where the mountains are. And then it confirms that Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, were in the Sodom Valley, or in that region, because it goes on to say they took everything, they fled into the mountains and they took everything from Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm assuming because the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah had fell into the tar pits, so the other kings took everything from the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and left, including Lot, who is Abraham's nephew, who lived in Sodom. Okay, so we have established the Sodom Valley is along the Salt Sea. There's mountains nearby. There are tar pits in the valley, and Sodom and Gomorrah are in the Sodom Valley. So I'm going to show you where these locations are really quick, then we'll go over each one. So here is the Great Salt Lake in Utah. The tar pits are up there on the northeast side. The Sodom Valley runs along the east side of the lake. And the mountain range is to the east of the Sodom Valley. And then down below that is Jerusalem, which is modern day Salt Lake City. So just to give you some context. Okay, so if you look up tar seeps near the Salt Lake in Utah, you can see a whole lot of information about them. There are tar seeps on the north side. It's called Roselle Point near the lake. And these are natural tar seeps, and there's different, I've seen articles about like animals and birds falling into them and not being able to get out, kind of like the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah. There's also this really interesting spiral jetty art installation up there. I'm not really sure what the significance of that is. I just find it interesting, and I found usually there are things like this near biblical locations, so it probably has some hidden meaning to it of some sort. Yeah, and so here's kind of a picture of what those tar seeps look like. They're just up there on the north side. Now I'm going to show you how these affect the lake. So here's the lake. You can see how one side is black and one side is aqua. They built this big berm across it. It has a railroad track on it now, so that the water with all the tar in it stays away from the nice water where all the tourists go. So this is literally tar water up here, and this is the water without the tar in it. And then here's just some images of the lake shore. This is where the spiral jetty is. I mean, it looks pretty desolate. There's not much up there at all. It's a pretty desolate area. And we all know that God rained down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah, and I found this article. I just thought it was interesting. It's talking about the smell that comes out of the Great Salt Lake, and it's called, basically it's sulfur. The smell of sulfur comes out of the Great Salt Lake, and they're not 100% sure why. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting article. Sometimes it's stronger than other times, and they don't know if it's coming from decomposed matter on the bottom or something else. And here's another view from the lake shore, and I'm going to show you the mountain range to the east that the other kings ran to. There's some hills, there it is. So there's a big mountain range right there to the east. And here's where the tar pits are, the general area. I'm going to link my friend's video in here so you can, I'll try to put it up here, so you guys can go check it out. She was actually out there this summer and took a bunch of video footage and photos and has some great info on this topic as well. I really want you guys to go check out her video on this. Okay, this is where it gets super interesting. So in Genesis 13, it talks about how Abraham traveled from the south and went up to Bethel in the sacred place there where he had first pitched his tent between Bethel and Ai. So we know Bethel and Ai is near Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim. And we already know where Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal is. So Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim are right here on the southern end of the lake and west of Jerusalem. So I haven't pinpointed the exact location of Ai and Bethel yet, but Abraham says to Lot, if you go north, I'll go south. If you go south, I'll go north, because they're going to split ways. And Lot looked up and saw the entire Jordan Valley. So they were at Bethel and Ai when he said this. And we know that is near Gerizim and Ebal. And when I was looking for Bethel and Ai before, I was really focused on that mountain range to the south of Gerizim and Ebal. But now I'm realizing it's more likely the mountain range to the east up there, because that's where you would see the Jordan Valley from. Okay, so it goes on to say Lot chose the entire Jordan Valley, and he set out toward the east, and Abraham went back to Canaan. So this is lining up exactly with what the map is showing me, because if they were at Bethel and Ai, he saw the entire Jordan Valley and then went east to the Jordan River Valley. That's going to be right here. Let me show you. So if you come up to the top of that mountain range, which is the one east of Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim, if you were up on top of one of these mountains, you would be able to see the entire Jordan Valley, just like it describes. And then remember the verse, and then it says they split ways. Lot said he would take the Jordan Valley because it was irrigated, and he headed east. This is east. Just like the Bible says. My mind is blown every day. This is crazy. Okay, TikTok is glitching out of me, so I'm going to have to end the video here. But please let me know if you have any questions or if I need to clarify anything. I get so excited. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself well, but the part about him being on those mountains and seeing the whole Jordan Valley and then going east and then settling in the Sodom Valley, that's new information to me, and I'm so excited about it. And probably my next video will be on Ai and Bethel, because now I feel like I have a better grasp on where they are. So I'm going to go work on that next. Let me know what questions you have. Drop a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts.